call me old man Wade.
Damn you, old man!
Wait.
Old ass man.
Shut up, old man. You smell like fart.
No!
Old man.
He's so old, he got a podcast on cassette.
Fuck, you're old.
Damn it, Wade.
And welcome to the Old Man Wade Show. I am your host, the God of Stubborn, the Lord of Laughter, Old Man Wade. And I'm sitting here with my super co-host, Super co-host, Super co-host, Super Bowl Gavi.
Yo, let's coast. Let's coast for this episode.
Super Coast.
Super coast. What's going on, man? Happy belated Thanksgiving.
Are we really even saying that anymore, man?
Saying what?
Happy belated Thanksgiving. Like, this is like
Is this like a thing about pilgrims being horrible people and Thanksgiving's based on a lie?
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
It's like I celebrate it because it's a tradition thing my grandmother likes to cook. So I do that or whatever. Mm. But if I'm being completely honest about it, I do not give a flying fuck about this holiday.
I do. I like it. I like Thanksgiving, like what it's become. It's like my Christmas. Time to eat, chill with family.
Yeah, but you just like togetherness and like the food that comes with it. You're not really like a Thanksgiving. Like if I was like, hey, every December 13th, we're having Friendsgiving.
I mean, yeah, I'll be there.
You know what I mean? So don't get me wrong. I get the Hallmark like reason for it, like, you know what I mean, family, being appreciative of all the stuff and all that. But it's like Columbus Day to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of parallels.
It's all the same shit to me.
But
what was it when I came in? I was like, yo, thanks for coming. You were like, oh, sorry, I forgot the smallpox blankets.
Oh yeah. That was my Thanksgiving humor, which is kind of horrible, actually. That's depressing. Don't make me depressed. So Thanksgiving, like all our holidays, are based on bullshit, right? So, I mean, we either celebrate, with family and get the joy out of it that we can, and try not to be as offensive as possible, and or we don't celebrate anything, because honestly, we're humans, we're trash. So pretty much everything we do has a little bit of trash connected to it, right?
You know what's funny about that is that actually kind of should be more of a reason why we shouldn't just kind of roll with it, whatever. Like Christmas is supposed to be about the birth of Christ. He wasn't born in December.
Yeah, it's not about anything that we say it's about. Like Columbus Day, I understand people being upset about Columbus Day because Columbus was, possibly one of the worst human beings to ever exist, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, Columbus Day really was just an attempt for Italian Americans to, get Americans to like them. At the end of the day.
You think so?
That's exactly what Columbus Day was all about. All these holidays, they're all like attempts at, marketing something or someone or some group, and we just attached it to some historical tradition, right? Like,
yeah,
Columbus is Italian. Italians, they were seen as, dirty immigrants at one point.
Well, anybody who wasn't from America was considered like an immigrant. Like, it's funny when the application used to say blacks and Irish need not apply.
Yeah. So that's part of it too. It's part of the reason why we celebrate St. Paddy's Day. It's just these groups attempting to celebrate their cultures in some way, right? Like,
yeah.
And a lot of times they're making this shit up. It doesn't make it less valuable to them. But back then when they, let's celebrate Columbus, most of the world didn't have access to Google or the internet or, electricity, probably. So nobody was out there looking at the true history of Columbus. So I don't, and I really wish people would stop. I have a friend on Facebook, like every year, not even every year, because it's not even just Columbus. He's one of these people that's like, you can't believe anything you learned in school.
Yeah.
They taught us that Columbus was a great guy. I'm like, what school still teaches that shit?
Yo, laugh. A lot of schools still teach that. Maria's little cousin found out that, like, early because Maria was like, "Nah, Columbus was not this great dude."
Yeah.
I found out last year, the year before, one of my homegirls and coworkers, Jackie, she was talking about how the reason she's as light as she is because all the Spanish settlers that came over here were all really light and just over here raping people.
I mean, yeah.
And they just sent like the worst. They sent all the rapists and murderers and thieves with Columbus. They didn't expect him to come back. And so they just went on a raping spree. And we're not even going to get him the fact that he didn't even make it to America.
I mean, yeah, this whole Columbus thing is just, he's a horrible human being. We should change the day to something else that celebrates American Italian history or whatever. But I think most places that, well, at least, okay, I live in the Northeast and we're kind of like this bubble.
Yeah.
In most places, they don't even call it Columbus Day anymore around here. It's Indigenous Peoples Day or something, right?
Yeah, like Cambridge, I know they don't call it Columbus Day anymore. It's Indigenous Day.
My phone doesn't say Columbus Day; it says Indigenous Peoples Day. So I don't know.
I'm just glad we're moving. I'm glad we're moving away from that though. But you know, there's still some people out there who are like, it's history, and it's just, no, it's not. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, people say a lot of shit. God damn it, people say a lot of shit. Anywho,
let's get into the fun shit.
Yeah.
So, Thor. Jason Aaron's Thor.
Yes.
So let's start with the beginning.
Not the movie Thor.
Not the movie Thor. The comic book character Thor.
Oh yeah.
So let's start with the beginning of it. Jason Aaron wrote something called I believe it's God of Thunder Thor.
Yes.
Or Thor God of Thunder.
Yes.
And he started that with one of this bomb ass character called Gore.
Yep, Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like, and it carried through 3 lineages of Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Thor before he was worthy of Mjolnir.
Yep.
Thor.
Modern day
Thor.
Thor.
Yeah. Who was like considered like the greatest god of all time.
Yeah.
And then old All-Father Thor.
Yeah, who took the place of his dad as.
It fought his whole life to go against Odin and only become essentially what he hated.
Yeah. Well, it's a little different. It's not the Odin Force, it's Thor Force.
It's Thor Force, but he's essentially the same guy as Dad was.
And then, so, that series is pivotal because it ties into the current run of Thor, right? And I'm not talking about, like, the most recent, but I'm talking about Jane Foster Thor. I'm talking about Unworthy Thor. I'm also talking about the events that happened to Thor during I forgot the name of that series. I'm blanking.
Which one?
Nick Fury.
Oh,
Thor was right.
Original Sin.
Original Sin. So
yeah.
when did God of Thunder? When did that run start?
I want to say, actually, I don't even want to say. I actually have the app right here.
Yeah.
So, and of course I was reading something, so I don't know what I have to go with it.
Then we'll edit this space out.
Nah, I'm not editing shit. I only edit stuff when like it's some shit that I know like no one wants to hear. If it ain't that, then I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. So this Thor came out. Where the fuck is the notes? 2017, really? No, that can't be right.
No.
That can't be right. You know, it don't even matter.
Yeah, it's been a while because it came out before Original Sin. And Original Sin, that's at least like 5 years. Easily. So we're talking about
Original Sin Marvel was 2014.
2014.
Yes.
Yeah. So 4 years ago, 4 or 5, about to be 5 years ago.
Yeah. So that Thor series must have came out like around like the beginning of like 2013 or the middle of 2013.
Yeah. And we're still, Thor as a character is still dealing with the consequences that Jason Aaron kind of put into place since then.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, like it's because we still don't know whether or not he's worthy. In current times, we don't know if he's worthy or not.
Well, there's no way to tell right now if he's worthy because there's no Mjolnir at the moment.
At the moment, yes.
Yeah.
So we can get into that in the future and all that other. But let's not skip ahead.
Yeah.
So we had Thor versus the God Butcher.
Yes.
And the first time he fought, it looked like, I think you could say Thor won, kinda.
Yeah, but it was kind of devastating to his psyche in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
So the premise of Thor, the God of Thunder, aka God Butcher, was there was a serial killer on the loose, to say to speak, that was going around just murdering gods.
Yeah.
Of all faiths, in all times. There was somebody that had the ability to kill gods throughout the time stream. So he was going back in time, killing gods. He was killing gods in the current time stream. He was killing gods in the future. And why was he doing this, old man?
He was doing this because Gore had an issue with the way his people were dealing with poverty, famine.
Yeah. They were very devout.
Yeah. And his family was died, and it was like, it happened for a reason, and God this and God that. And it seemed like their people wouldn't even get past the fact that maybe we need to start doing things for ourselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Gore got tired of it.
Yeah. Gore's an alien, by the way. So
yes, thank you.
In the Marvel pantheon of gods, there are all types. There's
gods throughout the universe, the galaxy.
An infinite amount of gods for different species, whatever.
Yeah, that's
which
like,
is an
one of my favorites
concept.
is like there's a god of like wine.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gore ended up being, I guess, exiled by his people.
Yeah,
because he was just like, there are no gods, and basically was just like disparaging everything that they believed in, and so they were like, basically cast him out because they thought the gods were going to smite everyone if they didn't cut out the cancer, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Now, two gods, I think they were, right?
They were. We didn't know at this point, but they're very powerful beings.
Yeah, came down and fought.
Yeah.
And one of them was like, "Help me."
Yeah.
And Gore killed him.
Yeah.
And took
his God.
Yeah, and took his suit.
Yep.
Which we find
and
out.
Weapon.
And weapon.
Yeah.
Which is the black.
The Necro Sword.
The Necro Sword.
Yes. Yep.
And so from then on, Gore went on a rampage, just killing god after god. Like, not even just killing them. Yeah. His name exists for a reason. He was butchering these gods.
So the Necro Sword is a artifact or a weapon or goo, I don't know what it is at this point, of immense power, and it gives the person with that the ability to kill anything. Literally kill anything.
Yep.
But it also, like all things in comic books, with that much power, it corrupts the brain. So.
Well, one of the things, actually bringing up Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron wrote a Doctor Strange book about the price of magic.
Yeah. Which
kind of comes to the same thing. Like, to everything, there will be a balance.
Jason Aaron likes prices. He likes prices being paid.
It's realistic.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were saying about the Necro Sword and like the power it holds, and
So again, I haven't read this.
I actually read it recently.
So yeah, it's fresher in your head than I am. I'm surprised I even remember most of this stuff.
Well, that's a good trait of a well written story.
Yeah.
Is when you have something that even when you haven't read it in a while, there are certain things that like stand out. Yeah. And it's also great because every time I go back and read it, I find something else out new and cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I didn't take much stock into the name Butcher until I read it again, and I remembered that he was like cutting out like their eyelids.
Yeah, he was torturing these guys.
Yeah.
But before we even get to that, because I think it's really important, because we talked about this earlier, the way that Jason Aaron, the way time plays out in these stories, right? So Thor is a god who lives an immensely long life.
Oh yeah,
right?
You mentioned this, and I didn't pick it. You mentioned that to me.
Yeah.
Before I reread it.
Yeah.
And then I read it. I'm like, oh shit, that's what Javi was talking about. So yeah.
So something that's established in this book. I don't know if it's established before this book, but I know it's established in this particular book that gods their lives are so long that they tend to forget moments or people that they've interacted with in the past.
Yeah.
So Thor lives so long, he gets to a point in the future that he forgets he was even an Avenger. It's just like glimpses in his mind.
Yeah.
So
which is funny because it's very human.
Yeah, and so as the reader, you are pretty much pulled through time, kind of randomly, right?
Yeah.
Certain scenes take place in Thor's youth. Certain, like you say, certain scenes take place in modern times. Certain scenes take place in the future.
Which is dope. So if you want to before we can get into that, we should talk about how the story started.
Yeah.
There was an alien whose planet needed water.
Yeah.
And he prayed. He didn't know who he was praying to, but Thor shows up.
Yeah.
And he makes it rain.
Yeah.
And then as he was about to leave, he's like,
his gods aren't listening. So he's like, any gods that are listening,
yeah,
come to me. And Thor actually comes in.
Yeah. So he shows up and they were like, oh, we have ale. And he was about to leave. He goes, did you say ale? So he came and had a drink. And I think it was, the little girl who told him? Or was it the one of the elders who said they don't have any gods?
I think it was like I think it was a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the child was like, oh, we don't have any gods. And so Thor found that like ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he he goes flying through the cosmos, and then he sees like traces of like god blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
Falls to god blood, and he sees these like giant deities like hanging from the stuff that the Necrosword was made out of.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the Necrosword also created these hounds almost?
So the Necrosword is a living weapon, right?
Almost symbiotic.
Symbiotic, and it creates these beings of darkness that does the wielder's bidding, which comes into play
At the end. The end.
Yeah.
Should we spoil the ending at some point, or just?
I mean, we're talking from God's perspective, so it doesn't matter. Right?
So he shows up and ends up killing him, and he finds out that this isn't the only god who had disappeared. This wasn't the only god who only planet without gods.
Yeah.
And there was this, I think maybe one of the best images of the run was this like massive mountain of like an ice dog or hound like god. And Thor was saying how he was like the champion of like some fighting god tournament for like centuries or something like that. And he was dead.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And one of the other things was, and I think I meant like some of the gods he saw, they died with fear in their eyes.
Yeah.
And he was something that he said that was something that he had never seen. So that was something else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the visuals in this book were freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, man. The art was done by Thor, God, Butcher. You can tell we're really professional here. Illustrator Assad Ribic, Ribick. I'm probably butchering this person's name, and I apologize for that. He's a Croatian comic book artist and animator known for his various titles from Marvel Comics, including Loki, Silver Surfer, Requiem, which was good, The Submariner, The Depths, and 2015's Secret War.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, he did do that. I completely forgot that he did the artwork for that. But yeah, so Thor set out on this journey to find out where all the gods have been going, and which I thought was cool was like they had the god of libraries or the god of books, and he went and looked through all of these books and was trying to find out where all these gods had been and who was missing, and it leads him down this path of remembering what happened to him when he was a youth,
which is crazy. So we come to find out that Thor had an interaction with the Gore in his youth that he forgot about.
Back when Thor was a rash, braggadocious, narcissistic, vicious warrior with his axe, Jan Bjorn.
So this was, a few thousand years ago, maybe, Earth time, and Thor is chilling with his Vikings.
As he does.
Maybe not a few thousand years ago, maybe more recent than that. And he goes into a cave, I believe.
Yes. They take this because they found one of the Native American gods, one of the indigenous gods, washed up on shore with this look of like fear and terror in his eyes. So they set on a journey.
Which is the actual first time that Thor saw that.
Yes.
Again, gods live so long
that he might have seen it and he
just forgot.
I think he might have said something. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So Thor along with the Vikings made their way to find out who did this, and that's when Thor tells them to stay and I think they found was it a Pegasus or a horse with wings? I wasn't sure if there's a difference.
I don't remember. Yeah,
but it threw you.
Going Thor is probably a goat.
No, it was a Pegasus.
Yeah,
because then he finds he flies a Pegasus, and then something cuts the Pegasus head off. Mm-hmm. He jumps on another one. We find out that it's Gore.
Yeah,
it was that's the first time they interacted, and he's falling. Gore attacks him. Thor gets a swing of the axe. They both hit the ground.
Yep.
Thor drags him to the cave, and is like torturing him, like chains with like spikes on him, and
so Thor is getting tortured for days. I think.
I believe so.
A ridiculous amount of time he's being tortured and dismantled. It's something I've never seen Thor go through something like that before, man.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
So,
how does he get out of that?
I believe the first. No. Actually, I don't think this is the first time. I think the first, because this is before he met Thor. This is after he met Thor.
Yes.
I think that's right. Because he says, "Before I kill you, who are you the god of?"
Yeah.
And he goes thunder, and a big ass lightning bolt lights up, lights Gore up.
He gets him. Yeah, you're right.
And then they fight. I guess then they fight again. He drags him to the cave and was like, "Tell me everything about Asgard." And Thor, for like weeks, like days or weeks or whatever it was being tortured, but he would never give up. Yeah. Then some of the Viking gods came in, and I guess distracted Gore.
The humans, not the gods. Yes, the humans. Yes,
the humans. Thank you.
Yeah.
And when Thor Thor breaks from the chain, grabs Jarnbjorn, cuts Gore's arm off, and Gore left with his tail between his legs. Yep. And that was I think that was the first time Gore lost.
Yeah, I think to in a certain extent, Gore, because Gore has a real hatred for gods. Mm-hmm. And in a sick way, his hatred is kind of justified because the gods in the Marvel universe, other than very few like Thor, Hercules, surprisingly Ares, really don't care too much about humans.
And which is funny because the ones who are looked at, who do actually give a fuck about the humans, they're looked down upon. Yeah.
And did we get into Gore's like what he actually wants to accomplish?
No, because that comes into play in a little bit. Right. So at the end of issue 1, you see Allfather Thor, and he doesn't have an arm, which foreshadows of something that happened later in the series.
And he's pretty lonely.
Yeah. All the halls of Asgard are empty. There's nobody there. Mm-hmm. He grabs Jotun's sword. Mm-hmm. He grabs his metal arm. Mm-hmm. He grabs his hammer, and he goes out and fights a legion of Gore's like dogs, wolves, hounds, whatever. And he loses, and he's like, "I'm finally gonna die." And he was finally happy that he was finally gonna just like cease to exist. Mm-hmm. But then come to find out, all they did was drag him right back to his throne and then leave him there. Yeah. Like Gore wouldn't even let him die.
Yeah. So Gore at this point is like, I'm gonna let you live till the end. He hates Thor.
Yeah.
So we get to Gore's final gambit, I guess. Like what he's actually trying to do and how he's trying to do it. Gore hasn't just been killing gods; he's been collecting them.
Yes, which one of the first gods we see that we recognize was Volstagg.
Yes,
and I thought that was cool that he would be the last one because people look at Volstagg like because he's fat and he talks a lot of shit that he isn't as strong as he is. Yeah. Volstagg's one of like the greatest warriors in Asgard,
especially when he's War Thor.
Oh. So, he ends up being one of the last gods there. Yeah. One of the last Asgardian gods. And he was talking big shit to Gore. Mm-hmm. Gore ends up, well, it's not crucifying him, because it's not a crucifix, but, wouldn't even be impaled. Well, he nailed him to an X. So anybody who was defiant to him, any god that was defiant to Gore in the future, he nailed him to an X. Mm-hmm. As a example of, if you don't do what you're told, this is where you'll end up. So we find out that after God runs into this scared, weak-willed God.
Gore.
No. This is the dude thing, the two eyes and the two eyes up here.
Oh,
he kept saying he was a different. I'm a god of this. I'm a god of that. And
yeah, so yeah, he keeps on switching. So they meet this funny looking guy that keeps on switching his role. Yeah, you're right.
And this is Thor finds out that after this that he was playing he was working for Gore this whole time, and the library of the gods is getting burned down. And so the librarian grabs him and goes, "Who are you the god of?" And he goes, "I'm the god of bombs."
Yes.
And I'm like, and then you see what the gods in the future are making.
Yeah.
Is they're making this huge black bomb to destroy all the gods throughout time.
So again, we're playing with the time streams here. So Gore is building this bomb far in the future, and his plan is to drop it far into the past to a point in a primordial universe where he could do the most damage and kill gods throughout the time stream.
Yeah, past, present, future, there will be no more. There will be no gods that exist. And the one thing I have to give, because you said something, he was like, Gore was kind of right. On top of that, Gore made it a point to go to the past to find out what was created, and all he found was like this baby looking thing who was just creating beings, and they looked like they were in pain, and he wouldn't even kill them. Yeah. So it was essentially like this being that used the world and reality as like its plaything. So
his point was that gods aren't necessary. So the universe, that primordial soup, would have created beings regardless of the interaction with gods. Gods were just this perverted thing that provided us with pain and suffering from the beginning. Yeah. And so Gore saw his mission as a mission of mercy,
which I thought was a very interesting concept, because us people who are human at some point in time, a lot of us have lapses in faith, questions about God and stuff like that, and one of the things that I've noticed, because I'm a former Christian, and I would always wonder, why is God doing this? And the answer is always, He has a plan. And then you watch all these like terrible people get money and hurt people, and while the people under them are in pain, God has a plan. Like an animal animals went extinct because they were killing them for their ivory. Not for food, not for warmth, not for shelter, for sport. God has a plan.
Yeah, so Gore took that argument and just took it to the extreme. Yeah. He was like, it's like, all right, you're gonna make us suffer, so whatever. So long story short, because we still haven't gotten into original sin and unworthy Thor and the current Thor one.
Hold on. We need to finish God. We need to finish this story before we can get into original sin.
Well, and the thing is, in this, so it was God Butcher and God Quarry, I think.
Godbomb.
Was God Quarry one of them?
Maybe. I know first one was the God Butcher, and the second one was Godbomb.
Godbomb, yeah, okay. So
Thor ends up tracking Gore throughout time and finds him in the future. Gore went back in time specifically to grab young Thor, right?
So throughout again, so this Gore's killing spree again lasts billions of years, right? Yeah, that's the type of time scale we're talking, right?
We're towards like the end of time,
and throughout that whole time, he had his obsession with killing gods, but he was also obsessed with Thor, the person that gave him his only and most decisive defeat. So his plan was to, because I think he told young Thor before he left, like, I'm gonna keep you alive.
Yeah, right. Because of all of them, he was the one that hurt him the most.
Yeah. So on some real petty shit, he went back in time to collect Thor. I think he wanted to collect like all the Thors so they can all see
like Pokemon.
Yeah, like he was which was dumb if you think about it. But anyways, we could get to that.
Yeah.
So he pulls young Thor out of his time into the future to see the end.
And then make him work.
Yeah.
In the end. But you know what I gotta say though? Young Thor might be my favorite Thor.
Yeah, why do you say that?
He is just such an ass.
Yeah.
Like, he just got this, like, bravado around him. He didn't need the hammer to, like... He didn't rely on the hammer so much to create the storms. Granted, they were erratic. There was no real, like, control of it. But I liked that Thor. Yeah. But, so he gets to the future and we find out these three girls. These three girls who were just, like, probably the biggest badasses of that future time. Mm-hmm. And it's before young Thor shows up and has to help them, whatever. Mm-hmm. So these three girls are trying to...
So this is young Thor. This is young Thor in the far-flung future.
Yeah.
Where All-Father Thor exists.
Yeah. So these three girls, a coup would be the right word for it, right? Or a mutiny of sorts?
On a ship?
No. Oh, mutiny would be on a ship. Yeah. So they were trying to develop a resistance.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So they had one chance, and they had, I guess, like this giant, like, bomb they were going to use to destroy the bomb they were creating, hoping it would set off a chain reaction and maybe destroy it. But they needed a distraction. So young Thor steps up and goes, "I'll do it." Yeah. And now the three girls are like, "Well, who are you to demand anything of us?" And young Thor's like, "I'm Thor, god of thunder, yada, yada, yada." And they don't believe him. Mm-hmm. They're like, whatever. Because they just finished whooping his ass. So, like, who are you to tell me you're Thor? Like, the legendary Thor. Yeah. So, this is what I love. So, all this is going on. They look over to the bomb, and it's gone. Yeah. And you see young Thor with it on his, like, it's like a giant pointy boulder on his shoulder running. And he's just like, I think he prayed to Odin and go, "Just give me one more storm." And it's like lightning, thunder. No, it was lightning and raining fire. Yeah. And then come to find out, these three girls were actually Thor's daughters.
Yeah, in the future. Yep.
And one of them was like, "I can't believe I lusted over my grandfather." His grandkid, excuse me. So he's running with this thing on his shoulder, and he's creating this giant, like, red lightning and this fire raining from the sky. Hits the bomb, nothing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't even put a fucking dent in it.
Because it was made by the god of bombs.
Yep. So he goes...
built by hand by other gods that were captured.
And that's when he ends up going flying into space, right? Yeah. And that's where he meets Thor and All-Father Thor on this giant ship.
So 3 generations of Thor just floating through space.
Yep. So they get their shit together. They put their weaponry together, and they go all out. And they basically try to usurp.
Cool.
Which you would assume that 3 gods of thunder against 1 god would be enough.
Yep.
Nope.
Well, again, Gore is not a god. And that's important to say.
Yes.
God. His point... He
hates them, but...
Yeah. There's always a twist, right?
Yeah.
Gore is not a god, which is pretty impressive.
Oh, what?
He's not a god, which is pretty impressive, given the fact that he's killed or enslaved all the gods.
Yes. So, the fight ends up, there's some stuff in between, but you should read the book. So, some stuff happens in between, and Thor ends up with old All-Father Thor's hammer and his own hammer. Mm-hmm. And he beats this bomb because while all this is going on, Gore sets the bomb off, and every god throughout reality can feel this. Mm-hmm. And one of the dopest parts of this book was Odin praying to his son to help him.
Yep.
And he is both these hammers, he is beating on this bomb. And he ends up breaking the bomb, doesn't he? And is that where he gets infected with the necro...
The necro sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has 2 Mjolnirs plus the necro sword.
And it infects him. And he doesn't end up killing Gore. Let's backtrack. So Gore ends up telling his wife that I'm finally going to accomplish my goal. After all this time, I'm finally going to do it. And she calls him her god. And Gore looks at her like, bitch, what?
What you call me?
And he kills her.
Yep.
His son comes around and goes, where's Mom? Mom should see, you finally achieving this. And he was like, Mom's not feeling well, whatever. So, after Thor is defeated by Gore, he has him, I think, at the bottom of a pit or whatever. Thor climbs his way up, and Gore's son helps him, saying, his father isn't who he thought he was. So this fast forward back to him destroying that bomb.
Well, it's not that. I think his son starts seeing his father as a god. I think his son has the same hatred for gods.
Yes.
That his father has.
Which is reasoning for that.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, because you probably know this part better than I do.
So, again, it's still kind of fuzzy in my head, and you're going to have to finish the fight, because I don't remember the fight, necessarily. But, like in all true villain fashion, right, villains that start off with a noble cause, or what they say is a noble cause, they end up becoming what the thing they hate. So, Gore has all the power in the world, and people start worshipping him as a god. He starts becoming that god. He has people enslaved to him, working to a mission that he cares about. And so he gets to a point where he's like, yo, this mission is like
fugazi.
Yeah, I can't get away from these gods. So I need to just destroy everything. So his son sees that and helps his enemy.
Which in itself, it's kind of like, oh, okay, we're doing this right now. I'm trying to actually go through and see if I can actually find that particular moment. So, alright, so we get the issue when he's defeated the gods. He sends All-Father Thor on an asteroid. He drops 6 regular Thor in a pit of molten lava. And young Thor is being tortured by the Necro Sword on the planet. So I actually read exactly what she says. Gore's wife goes, You are the only being I have ever known worthy of worship. You are the brightest star in all the heavens. You, Gore, my lover, my savior, you are my God. She's crying. She's smiling.
Bad word.
Yep. And so he just kills her. So he tells his son, your mother's sick. Son turns around and sees his mother's arm in the dirt. Thor attempts to come out of the pit, and the son helps him. Thor goes out and just... So, this is great. So, Gore's talking to young Thor because he has a very Norman Osborn relationship with young Thor.
Yeah.
And Gore gets into his face and Thor bites his eye. and then Gore throws Thor out of the bomb. Looking for the part where... So yeah. So they put some of the gods... So Thor and old Thor, young Thor show up. Old Thor and regular age Thor show up. Oh man, he tells Thor basically to beat the bomb with a hammer. And he just keeps he's cracking the hammers against each other, creating the storms, destroying the bomb. And then when we see that, we see Thor infected with
the Necro
Sword.
Which is interesting. So Gore didn't realize it, but the Necro Sword was warping his mind. And so Gore hated gods, but the Necro Sword wants to kill. So the Necro Sword was the thing that was motivating Gore behind the scenes to kill.
Yeah.
Right? Once Thor gets the Necro Sword, we see that weapon was never meant for mortals.
Yeah, apparently it wasn't meant for anybody.
Yeah, it wasn't meant for anybody, but Thor has control over the Necro Sword that Gore never had.
Yes.
And as soon as he gets it, he's able to just
yeah,
wipe everything off the table.
And so then we find out that his wife and kids weren't really existing. Mm-hmm. They were constructs he created
through the necrosword.
Yeah. So Thor dies. Regular Thor dies, but he wakes up and he rose 3 days later, which cracks me up. I'm like, all right,
some god shit.
So young Thor and All-Father Thor have been sitting there drinking, watching him heal, and young Thor, still brash as ever, is just excited that one day he'll become worthy. What is it? So old Thor. So All-Father Thor says to young Thor, "You will prove yourself terrible at great many things in the years to come, boy. You'll fail. You'll watch your loved ones die, and worst of all, you'll never come anywhere close to the one thing you've always wanted." Young Thor, "Yes, I will. I see you two carrying those hammers around. That means." And old Thor goes, "I'm not talking about the hammers. You'll never be the son he wants you to."
Okay.
And he goes on. So young Thor goes, "No, apparently I grow to be every bit as a troll's arse as my father." So that ends up. So all of them end up going back to their times. Some of the gods still. Thor's grandchildren stay around and stay with old Thor. Thor still become old. All-Father Thor still crotchety as ever. But the dopest part of this was at the end of it, all the old gods from the future, he brought back to the past and brought back to that original planet which started it all. And he says to this young child, "You need never pray again." And they were just like a bunch of like bright silhouettes of these gods who were like watching over their planet.
So I think it's very important at the end of the day, at the end of this story, to realize that Gore's whole point was gods aren't necessary. Right?
Yeah.
They do more damage than they do more good. They do more harm than good. And that's important to know as we kind of transition a little bit to original sin.
Yes.
So original sin starts off with a murder. The murder of a Watcher. And Uatu, right? The Watcher who lives on the moon. And I don't want to get too much into original sin because we're really just thinking about Thor's impact on this. So we come to find. Can you spoil original sin?
Yeah, it's been off.
Spoiler alert, right? Nick Fury was the one that murdered the Watcher and stole the Watcher's eyes.
Stole
one eye. Yeah.
And technically, he didn't even. Yeah, he stole one. But here's the best part about it, though. We see Nick Fury for a while hasn't been a Nick Fury we've been seeing. Yeah. We've been looking at a light model decoy for Lord knows how long.
Yeah.
And we see Nick Fury. He's old, weathered, and just a wreck.
Yeah. Up to that point, the thing with Nick Fury being young, he was taking a serum. That was like the thing. He was taking he took like a.
It's like it was like the Infinity Serum or something.
Some crap like that they kept in, but it was all bullshit.
Yeah.
This was a crazy twist.
Fun fact before we get into that: the reason he gave the last dose he had, he ended up giving to Bobby Morris Mockingbird to save her life. Go ahead.
So anyway, so we come to find out that for years Nick Fury was on a mission assassinating cosmic level threats to humanity.
Yes.
And he saw the Watcher as one. I don't know why. Why was that? What was the point of that?
He's Nick Fury. Doesn't really matter. Right.
So anyways, with the eyes of the Watcher, the person who has those eyes essentially knows everything. Every secret, every sin, even the originals. Yep. Original sin.
So, Nick, go ahead, sorry.
So, again, I don't want to go, unless you want to go into the full story on that, I'll just...
We don't even really need to get into the full story, but just long story short, most of the Avengers, or the current rosters, were trying to arrest Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Nick Fury ain't going down like that.
He's Nick fucking Fury.
So, Thor goes after him.
This is on the moon.
Like, not even this is in space. Like, they're even off the moon at this point.
Okay, alright, go ahead. I don't want to skip. Alright, go ahead.
So everyone's fighting him. He takes out Wolverine. He took out the Hulk. he took out, just taking everybody out because he's Nick fucking Fury. Right. He knows things. He knows everyone's weaknesses.
He has a super suit that he uses to kill all types of shit, more powerful than most things we've seen in comic books. And he has the power of all knowledge at his fingertips.
So he's going at Thor. He goes, I only need 3 words to beat you. And
we don't know the words yet.
We don't know the words yet. So he whispers it to him, and Thor goes, What? What did you say? What did you? And then you just see Thor fly down, like fall down to the moon. Mm-hmm. The battle's over. They're flying back to Earth, and one of them goes, I feel like we forgot something. Mm-hmm. And all you can see is Thor struggling. He can't lift the hammer anymore.
Yep. He loses
worthiness.
Yes. 3 words.
So, you know more about the Jane Foster Thor than I do. Mm-hmm. So,
alright, so in the second to last The Mighty Thor run,
yes.
Right? Thor was actually a female. So Thor split. The Thor run split. You had Unworthy Thor and you had the Mighty Thor. Unworthy Thor, we follow Thor Odin's son.
Yes.
As he tries to, he's kind of in the dumps. He becomes an alcoholic. Well, an alcoholic without Mjolnir. So that's a problem, I guess.
A great quote from Unworthy Thor. That one I know. I've read that 6 times. But one of the great quotes from Unworthy Thor was, "If you know everything, what did I have for breakfast? Alcoholic beverages and self-loathing."
Exactly. So while Thor's going through all that shit, there's actually a new Thor with a hammer who happens to be a female. Mjolnir disappears off the moon. People try to figure out who it is. They have no idea who it is. We come to find out. Do we even need to go in the story of? Are we talking about Jane? Are we talking about her?
You can just talk about how much you love the story if you want.
I loved it. It was written by Jason Aaron, drawn by Dodderman, I believe.
I wouldn't know. You definitely know
Dodderman.
Better than I would. The artwork's amazing. It's crisp. It's bright.
So good.
Like, one of the things I love about it is, like, not even just the artwork in the book, but the covers pop.
Yeah.
There's this one picture, just one cover in particular, where Jane, the female Thor, Jane Foster, is...
Spoiler!
That
doesn't matter.
Yeah. You should know. It's like, outside of it is a light blue. Yeah. And the bottom is light blue. But in the middle of it, it's just like this like splot of like pink. Yeah. And this like black outline of like Thor. And it was like her with this warrior face, like screaming. And I was like, yo, like it popped. Like one of those things, they say you shouldn't judge a book by a cover. But like it definitely will, all the covers will definitely get your attention.
And and other than the artwork, there were a couple of things I liked about that series. As far as the Thor mythos goes, it really developed the relationship between like the person who has the hammer and the hammer.
Yes.
Like, it's almost like they're communicating with each other. She used the hammer
in ways Thor didn't know.
Never used it. Like, the hammer had like a mind of its own sometimes when she was fighting. And for a while, her relationship with Thor Odin's son was antagonistic. Odin hated her. He's like, why the hell does she have like my son's hammer, right? At the end of the day, though, and again, I don't want to. This is about the male Thor. At the end of the day, we find out that Jane Foster, who has cancer, every time she transforms into Thor, it makes the cancer stronger because cancer is part of you. So essentially, it becomes like Asgardian cancer, right? Like whatever.
Cancer.
So every time she uses it, she gets a little weaker, and then the last few issues of that run have to deal with Thor and her fighting the Mangog.
Who's a bad motherfucker,
man. Like, he just wrecks everything in Asgard. The end of that fight, we see Jane Foster turning into Thor for the last time. We see the destruction of Mjolnir as it gets wrapped around Mangog and thrown into the sun.
Do we actually see the hammer get destroyed?
Well, up to this point, it's destroyed. But
do we actually see it get destroyed?
No, we see it get thrown into the sun. I think there's a scene of it because it's like in a cape. I think there's a scene of it. I don't know. Again, you're right. And the current run of Thor, we still see All-Father Thor, and he has the hammer.
Yes.
So we know he gets it back eventually somehow.
Yes. So that was the thing I wanted to point out was that it doesn't necessarily mean.
Yeah. So throughout, I think either in that run or in Unworthy Thor, we find out what the words were that Nick Fury told Thor that made him unworthy, and those 3 words were.
Gore was right.
Yeah.
So, I remember seeing this going, wow, all this time, all he needed to do was think that everything, it makes sense, like all his insecure, like 3 words killed his worthiness because a human said to him, we don't need you.
Yeah.
We've never needed you.
And I think what's also important, I think it's important that we did kind of mention some of the Jane Foster Thor one, as well as, at least talk about the Unworthy Thor one, because I think through Unworthy Thor, his difficulties dealing with not having the hammer, right?
Yeah.
And his interactions with Jane Foster's version of the Thor.
It's funny, I'm actually looking at it now, and I guess, like, after she destroys the hammer, they kiss.
Yeah, like, read that run of the Thor, please. It's really freaking good, bro. Like, I don't want to say too much because again, we're not talking about that, but it's really freaking good. I know people hated on it. It was like female Thor, whatever. But
you know what's so funny? My only issue with that run was that Thor stopped calling himself Thor. That was the only issue I had with it, because it was like, I understood it because Thor felt he was so unworthy that he didn't even deserve his name.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He was calling himself like the Odin son, right?
Odin son, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like he just wouldn't even he couldn't even accept that.
But he developed over
Yes.
time. He started growing. A lot of Thor's confidence was associated to him being worthy of the hammer, right?
Yes.
And then throughout that series, him not having the hammer, he did a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
He fought.
It made him better. It actually made him a better fighter because he didn't become as reliant on the hammer.
Yeah, exactly. Him seeing Jane Foster might be the most worthy of all the Thors, right? Like, she taught him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then
a lot of humility.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because I think during one of the issues, he said that all this time I didn't learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because like he's like, my father sent me to Earth to learn humility, and after all this time I learned nothing.
Yeah. And so at the end of the last Almighty Thor run, Asgard's in ruins. Odin's just a wreck.
Yeah.
Loki's missing, I think, at this point. Like, it's just crazy. But then we transition to the most recent Thor run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thor's back. He's a member of the Avengers, and now he has like 30 hammers.
which I think is cool because each hammer did something different.
Yeah.
And I love that Jason Aaron's like the random like hip hop references he uses. Mm-hmm. Like the engine number 9. I was like, yo, this is dope.
The art's different. The art took me a little while to get used to it, but I actually really like it. The use of color.
Yes.
I think they're
yes.
And it's really conveying like a sense of like it's these are gods, right?
Yeah.
Like the scale in which this current Thor run is working with is like ridiculous. We're still playing with the times, right? We're still looking at
the future with All-Father Thor, which he finds out is like the end of the universe.
Yep.
There's not even a heaven or a hell anymore.
Yep. Loki makes a reappearance.
Godbomb.
The Necro Sword makes a reappearance.
It does.
Oh, you gotta read it.
I should be all caught up.
Yeah. So, Ego.
Oh yes, you're right.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah. I remember now.
Okay, this series is currently ongoing, so I'm really not going to spoil it.
Yeah, we don't have to spoil that. We can leave that alone. But I like when you find out the beings who survived it all, it makes perfect sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even all the way down to who the Phoenix possesses.
Yeah.
It makes all of it makes sense.
Which makes an appearance in the last Avengers series, by the way.
Nice. One of the things I absolutely loved about this current Thor run is it seems like every run, like Jason Aaron's run with Thor Odinson, his run with Jane Foster Thor, and now this most recent one, all of them had a different type of feel to it. Like this one is a little sillier, but it's still, I wouldn't say sillier. There's a lot more humor to it. Like, you know what I mean? So one of my, I think it was issue 3 or 4, where Tyr is leaving with the Valkyries, and he was like, "When is dinner?" And one of the Valkyries were like, "Whenever you make it."
You asked a Valkyrie.
Yeah, like he thought he was king shit, and they were like, "No, whenever you make it, let us know." So that was cool. I loved the someone, I forget who described it. It might have been someone on the website I write for, Bam Smack Pow. One of the guys said it kind of had like an Indiana Jones kind of feel to it.
There is an adventure aspect to it. This whole series so far, it's building up to something really big.
Yes.
And again, the thing that I like about that is, since we're playing with 3 different time periods, right? It makes it feel interesting. Like, you still get that energy, but it's broken up. Like, it's a real. I haven't read much things like this before, to be honest with you. Like this, and again, this is from God Butcher. So today, like it's been,
all of it's connected.
It's been perfect.
There's actually an issue of before we see Jane Foster's Thor. There's an issue of Thor where his granddaughters were looking through the library, and they found this book that was chained up, and they opened the book and they were like, "Who is this?" And Thor was just like, Odinson, Allfather Thor was pissed, like, "No one is to read this book," and like, "We'll never speak of it again." And then the book falls, and you just see a female Thor, and you're like, "Wait, what?" You know what I mean? Which is cool. One of the other things I loved about it was, like I said, the hip hop aspect was when Thor was fighting Juggernaut, and he was like, "Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Thor."
Bang!
He beat him with the hammer. I also love that you get, like, the first issue, you get 2 major villains, like 2 major fights. He fights Juggernaut and steals what he was claiming for. He fought Namor, beat him, and took the thing he was looking for. Yeah. You know what I mean? I like that Thori.
Well, so Thori, I've loved Thori's character for a long time. So Thori is a hellhound.
I didn't know who Thori was until Unworthy Thor.
Oh, really?
I just found out who he was.
So Thori's a hellhound whose favorite pastime is murder.
Thori is great.
Favorite word is murder.
Murder.
And he's
Thori murder well.
Yeah. Thori likes to murder.
And I love that, like, there's an interaction between him and the goat.
The goat's also a beast.
For real.
Yeah. Thor has some beastly animals. I like it. I like this because when you talked about the adventure aspect, because again, at this point, Asgard's in ruins. Odin's depressed.
Which is hilarious.
Avengers number 700 just came out. Read it. It's really good.
I read something because I have to look at spoilers for my writing. Yeah. But even before that, it's funny. I think this happened in Marvel Legacy, and I think it happened in the new Avengers run as well, when they show the original Avengers.
Well, see, all that still, and the connections are all there between Thor, Marvel Legacy, Infinity Wars. All the Marvel runs right now are all connected to some crazy shit. There's Celestials involved. There's a bunch of, like, Namor is like a monster right now. Like, this dude like beat all the Avengers by himself.
Really?
Yeah,
Namor?
He had somehow he's gotten a power boost. It's been pretty ridiculous.
Okay. There's also a run by Jason Aaron that I love. He did 2 runs of Wolverine that I loved. He did one where it was called Weapon X Wolverine, where you find out there's a few runs, but the first one starts with Wolverine gets back to the basics. Like, he's hunting, like, he's like the Wolverine we know. And we find out that I think it was Roxxon who was making these, taking Marines and turning them into like Wolverine. They'd have like laser claws. They all had healing factors, and I don't think they had. They didn't have the sense of smell, and I think their suits. No,
was it like synthetic skin? Like they were like skeletons, and they could like discrete like human, like they could become human looking or some shit.
Nah, they were just soldiers, and they had like, these laser claws, these green eyes, and Wolverine had to go find him and kill him. But he's killing like these trained. He's trying to murder these trained killers, and it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. And the first one he killed, he had to exert everything he had to defeat him. Just one guy. And so there was like, how would Wolf? So how do you do that? And so they were on this bunker, this oil rig in the middle of the ocean. Wolverine showed up in a helicopter and shot it down because the one thing that could kill him is drowning. So he basically tried to drown them all. Yeah. And then after that, he left them like stranded on. They left like 4 of them stranded on an island.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So, the next one was okay. It's like kind of a time travel-y thing, but the one after that was he was leaving. Actually, no, he did Wolverine Goes to Hell. Thinking of it now. There's a series, Wolverine Goes to Hell, where it's exactly what it sounds like.
Really?
He literally goes to hell.
Is this when we figure out kind of what's behind, not the healing factor, but behind why he can't die or some shit? Like he's always like fighting.
No. This is just him.
And while you're looking for that, I just want to, because I just remembered one of your favorite characters is in the center of what's happening in the Marvel Universe right now. Malekith.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Well,
he's such an ass in the comic book. I love him.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I know you mentioned him a lot. Like, and he's a really good villain.
He really is.
He's a really good villain.
He's a great villain.
And,
I don't think anyone's actually really taken the gods of Asgard and in the 9 realms. No one's ever done what he's doing right now.
He's setting something up pretty serious right now.
I'm wondering if it's going to be a major event too. Like that.
It has to be. It has to be.
So you find out, and this is kind of fucked up. They send Wolverine to hell.
Who's they?
I'm gonna get into that. So while Wolverine's in hell, the people who sent him to hell are trying to kill all Wolverines, anyone associated with Wolverine. Wolverine's girlfriend, Mystique, X-23, Dakin, the X-Men, anybody who has any love for Wolverine, they were trying to kill him. Now, while Wolverine's soul is in hell, his body was possessed by demons. So there's havoc going on in there. Wolverine's in hell. Mystique actually helped send Wolverine to hell, which is even funnier. While also Wolverine's in hell, he fights the devil, wins, and then you find out that the person who wanted to bring him to hell was his father, because he wanted to say like how proud he was of what he's become.
Wow. What?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Jason Aaron story.
Yeah. So there's I gotta find this because there's an excerpt of something he said from here. It's actually like one of the coolest things I've read. There's always screaming, the scent of burning flesh from all around, the endless runoff of blood. The ground is thick, bloody muck. The air is rough and jagged, like breathing in shards of glass. Every day there are new torments and tortures. Sometimes they boil you in the river until you think your eyeballs are going to melt out of your skull. Other times they drag you down into the deepest of caves so cold your blood freezes into icicles as it's spilled. Sometimes they make you watch an endless parade of your own sins and regrets, your failed loves, your friends you couldn't save. Other times they lock you up in seclusion so complete you become convinced that you'll be alone for eternity.
Yeah.
And it goes on. I don't want to get into all of it, but then like they get into all of that. Like this is Jason Aaron doing a thought of what Wolverine is thinking at the time. So he goes to hell. Wolverine ends up blinding his father because he's like basically like, fuck you, you're a dickhead. Like, you know what I mean? And he was never really anything to him. Wolverine gets back to Earth. But he can't. His soul gets back to his body, but his soul is actually fighting the demons. The demons are fighting Wolverine, but they're also fighting the X-Men. Cyclops had a plan to kill Wolverine.
Cyclops has a plan to kill Wolverine.
Magneto, himself, Namor. Those are three. So Magneto would rip the adamantium from his bones. Namor would rip Wolverine's head off. Cyclops would incinerate his body.
Okay.
It's a problem. Those demons are telekinetic. So
they knew the plan before it even happened.
Not even that.
Yeah.
So as Magneto's ripping the adamantium out of his body, he takes the helmet off of Magneto and reads his mind, and he's telekinetically putting the adamantium back in Wolverine's body. And he goes, "That's why I remember you." And one of those demons were there in Auschwitz.
Oh shit!
And basically, like it literally dropped Magneto to his knees, and he started crying. Namor flew at Wolverine and into the water. The water starts to boil. Namor's laid out in the ocean. Storm, Jubilee, Rogue, and Melita, his girlfriend, get into Wolverine's mind, fight it off. They win. But here's the fucked up part about this is you find out that the group that was actually was running through all this is a group called the Red Hand. It's all a bunch of people who Wolverine has affected in their lives, killed their loved ones.
There's a whole group
dedicated to killing Wolverine. You know who started this group? His fucking son, Daken.
Daken would do that shit.
Yes.
Daken hates Wolverine.
So here's the funny part. So there's a whole group of people, and one of them is this little black kid who wanted revenge because Wolverine killed his mother accidentally while he was an agent of Hydra. So they didn't want to kill Wolverine. This is what they did. They hired these six or seven people, trained them to kill Wolverine. Wolverine kills them all. And then as he gets in, and all of them are dead. All of them are dead. He found out everyone's dead. And the leader of the group goes, not Daken, but the leader of the group goes, "We did all this just to watch you kill your kids." So those 7 people they trained were all Wolverine's kids. And he killed them. And he killed them. Yes! So he did all that to kill his kid. But here's the best part about it was, all of them went to hell. And all the people that they were worried about, that Wolverine killed, they're all in hell. So they were all bad people. Except for the woman in S.H.I.E.L.D., who went to heaven.
Well...
So it was like they did all that just to be tormented in hell.
So I need to read this story.
Yeah, Wolverine Goes to Hell Wolverine Goes to Hell, there's another one after that. But like the whole story is amazing, and it leads to Sabretooth becoming the kingpin of Eastern Asia.
So I was looking at it, and so this started in 2010, right?
Yes.
But it didn't end in 2012.
But
it was a pretty long run, yeah.
Yeah, but Jason Aaron's run went longer than that, though.
Yeah.
He did Wolverine the X-Men, which was great. It focused a lot on the kids. So while Wolverine's a focus, Beast, Kitty Pryde, and all them are a focus of the book, they spent a lot of time like Rockslide, Shark Girl, Herman Glob.
It's characters you don't really.
Yeah, Quentin Quire.
Yeah.
You find you see him for the first time as a good person. Wolverine as a headmaster, as a teacher and stuff like that. Jason Aaron wrote one hell of a run.
So,
I think I locked my wife out. You can keep talking.
So the Avengers have been pretty interesting lately.
Why is that?
I feel like Marvel's.
I didn't lock her out. Never mind.
I feel like Marvel's sending subtle shots to the state of the world right now.
I'm not shocked by that.
So the Avengers team, right? Her leader, probably at one of their most powerful.
Break down the roster.
The current roster, which is going to be changing if the story is going where I think it's going. And I'm doing this off of memory right now. It's the Hulk, but
She-Hulk.
Not yet. His cousin, the lawyer. What's her name?
Jennifer Walters.
Jennifer Walters.
Cap, Iron Man, Thor.
Black Panther,
Captain Marvel,
Ghost Rider.
What is his name?
Something Reyes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. He's Spanish. Hey, hi.
My wife is ice grilling me because I'm wearing her shirt that was mine first.
Hilarious.
No, I'm ice grilling you because I need to use the sink and it's full.
Ooh, shots fired. Shots fired. Alright, so sorry, I got totally distracted. So we did that. Thor, Captain Marvel, Iron Man,
Captain America,
Ghost
Black
Rider,
Panther.
Captain America, Black Panther. Doctor Strange is on a
sabbatical.
So he's there but not there. According to the last number 700, there might be 2 new characters joining.
I read a report. If you want a spoiler,
I mean,
Blade might be the next character going in.
Okay, so that's how number 700. So yeah.
I also read something. You can find it. I think it was on CBR.com or comicbook.com. But one of them they were talking about how now, like I guess that 6th and 7th spot are going to be rotating.
Well, that's what they said. Like the first 2 issues with the team kind of like getting together because they didn't. So there were going to be no Avengers. The way a villain actually got them together, like usual. Right?
Loki, as a tradition.
Yeah. And so that first meeting, they had the chairs lined up. Like Doctor Strange is going to be here as like a consultant basis. But, we're going to have room for, 1 or 2 more. So they opened that up. Also, damn it, I'm really trying, because there's some really big spoilers in this one. Do you care?
No.
Okay, so, a Phoenix Force-powered Wolverine had a conversation with Loki. Because apparently Loki...
What, in the future?
No, that's what I'm trying to say. It's crazy.
I thought I saw that. I'm like, wait, what?
No. So, it's not in the future. That's all I'm going to say. He had a conversation with Loki. So, Loki did some shit. We come to find out that what he did that to get the Avengers to come together again because of a greater threat involving Malekith, I believe. He's essential component to this greater threat.
Which is funny that Jason Aaron's actually bringing all of his books together.
Yeah, and it feels like they're coalescing. They're coming together, and so he had a conversation with Phoenix Force powered Wolverine. Phoenix Force powered Wolverine goes like, "I see what you're trying to do, but you need to get the Avengers to recruit more people." Some shit's about to pop off.
Yeah. So, before we go, we're a little over an hour. It's funny because originally I was like, we'll just do a couple of 30-minute ones, ends up being an hour, but it's not that serious. So, what would you suggest people read now? Because I think that's something we should also do. What's something that you're reading that you think people should definitely be checking out, other than the stuff we talked about?
This is not new. I'm just getting to it. But, Invincible...
by Kirkman, right?
That is Robert Kirkman, art by Ryan Oatley. It's published by Image Comics, and it's excellent. Again, it's one of those stories that puts an interesting twist on the superhero tropes that we're used to.
Yes.
It's about a kid who's the son of a Superman-like character.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it has a very good superhero plot, but I also see a lot of character development. He's a young character. You see him in high school. You see how he interacts with his friends, and just how somebody in the real world as a superhero, how they would have to kind of juggle, being one of the most powerful creatures in existence and also being a normal person. It's not by any means a optimistic book. It's drawn in a very child-friendly like style, but it's definitely not. And I suggest people read it.
Alright. I'm reading a bunch of things currently, but I just finished something that I highly suggest everyone read. New 52 Batman Endgame. New 52 Batman is basically, the way I would describe it is DC's version of the Ultimate Universe.
Okay.
This particular Batman had a different upbringing. Like the history's the same, parents shot, crime alley, yada yada yada. But this and a lot of the things were the same, like the Barbara Gordon getting paralyzed, him joining the Justice League, all that's the same, but there are just little things in there that were different. For example, Joker didn't have a face, and then taped his face to himself. This Batman is a little more aggressive. He actually almost killed Joker, like, you know what I mean? So there was that. He seems a lot more self-sacrificial than I've seen him in any comic books. But I'm also a novice when it comes to Batman. But from what I've seen and what people told me,
you've been getting into your DC bag lately.
Yeah, I'm trying to expand. If I want to be a professional at this, I got to be able to come at this from all sides. Yeah. Phrasing. I think that this is the New 52 Batman in general. I think is a great way to start into this. But I think I've been reading Endgame recently, and New 52 Endgame was phenomenal. Yeah. It's a story about the Joker, who it starts off. This isn't a spoiler. I won't say how it ended. But it starts off with Joker infecting the Justice League and making them like killers.
So New 52 has been out for a while, right?
Yes.
So like, I'm kind of jealous. Well, I need to get into my New 52 bag because I definitely skipped that. I skipped a lot of New 52.
So this one came out. So the New 52 run ran from 2011 to 2016.
Yeah.
But if you want somewhere to start. Start from the beginning with this, man. Court of Owls is one of the best comic books I've ever read in my life.
And the Court of Owls plays a big part. Well, I feel like they were building up to this. A lot of things built up to this, but Dark Knight's Metal, which I know you've been getting into recently.
I finished. And I love that they brought that into it, too.
Yeah. Cool.
Alright, man. This went longer than I thought to, but I loved it, man. I love the fact that because we've been dying to talk about Jason Aaron Thor for a long time, and I've been dying to really dive into it as well.
Jason Aaron's probably my favorite writer right now. Man.
He is easily, I think, the most consistent writer.
Yeah.
And if you haven't checked out his run of it should be on Comixology Unlimited.
I'll check it out.
His run of Doctor Strange was just.
Oh yes! Ooh. Oh, I read that. That is crazy, bro.
Like I got up to about. I think I got the issue like 9 or 10. I think I finished it.
Is that the one when he had to use a century?
Eventually, yes. But this started with him, the magic leaving. Like there was no magic for a while, so he's now like he was trying to recreate magic, recreate new spells, and they got
This is Doctor Strange in space or before that?
Way before that.
Okay. Right.
So and there was this whole thing about how magic, everything he does, like in terms of like the realm of magic, comes with a price.
Yeah.
And almost everything he does involves magic. It got so bad that like he can't eat earthly food. It turns into ash in his mouth. And I love how Jason Aaron wrote that. He goes, imagine living in New York and smelling pizza but not being able to eat it. So you see him like gorging on this like food with like eyeballs and tentacles, and he's just like downing it because he's so hungry. Mm-hmm. You find out that like Wong has been doing some semi-nefarious things.
Alright, don't tell me anymore.
Yeah, it's Jason Aaron's run of Thor. He actually he's easily the most consistent and one of the best writers like I've ever read, man. And it's great that he combines action, terrifically written story, romance, mystery, and then when you get the conclusion, you're completely satisfied about like how it ended. You know what I mean? And then once it ends, you're like, before like as it ends, it's like so what now? And then the last page it'll be, you can catch more Jason Aaron stuff and next stuff, and it's all connected. You're like, yeah. Actually, he wrote Original Sin.
He did write Original Sin. I mean, it makes sense that he wrote original.
But actually, it's funny. Original Sin actually had my favorite artist, Mike Deodato Jr.
I don't like some of his perspective work when it comes to like human body.
Yeah.
Some of his perspective work bothers me, but yeah, I can't complain too much.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. Like, do you have a favorite artist?
Daughterman.
Daughterman?
Yeah. He did the Mighty Thor run.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. I see the contradiction. I see the contradiction between the two artists, and I understand why you like them and why you have issues with some of Deodato's work. It makes sense. All right, man. That's been the Old Man Wade Show. I want to thank the Coast.
The Coast.
The Coast.
Yo, hold up, Mr. Duke.
Oh yeah.
All right, I heard you've been on the airways talking trash, man.
Didn't he? Felt like he kind of ran from you, didn't he?
I think he did.
He ran from the pinnacle of political perfection.
Yeah, but that's okay. You know,
call him out again. Call him out.
Here.
Call him out.
You want me to really call him out?
Call him out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's come to my attention that a young fella, tell me his name again, oh man.
Duke the Great.
Duke the what?
Duke the Great of the, I call him Duke the Great. Duke of the Duke Loves Wrestling podcast.
Oh, okay, alright. Well, again, the invitation to enter our squared circle.
Oh shit.
Is always open. But I understand if you're a little too scared.
Is he running from you?
He might be.
He might be running from you?
I'm hearing the footsteps. I'm hearing the footsteps run away from me, not towards me.
Oh shit. Duke.
You know where I'm at.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
You know where I'm at, son.
The gauntlet has been thrown.
You know what I mean?
The challenge. Do you accept it?
I'll be waiting.
Damn it, Wade. Excuse me. Damn it, Duke.
Damn it, Duke!
Damn it, Wade!